If I can ask, how many people understand Gujarati here? Arey वाह. Okay, a lot of them. So we can mix English, Gujarati kari shaki apne. So very happy to see all of you. This is a session which I'm told first time for Bangalore Literature Festival to have authors of other languages as well. And I can't be happier to be able to moderate a session which is going to talk about my Matrubhasha. So I'm a Gujarati, and Devangi Bhatt ji is a very acclaimed author of Gujarati Sahitya. She has many, many books. Kitla? Tamara kitla છે અત્યાર સુધીના? 11. She's written 11 books. And today, the book that we are going to focus on is the many lives of Paulomi Chattopadhyay. So a Gujarati lady talking about the other side of Bharat, of Bengal. However, this is a translated book. The original work of hers is called Vasansi Jirnani. Does Vasansi Jirnani tell you something? Anybody remembers where this comes from, this word? Correct, exactly. And the theme of the book is very interesting. So Vasansi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya. The Gita says that as the body becomes old, so like we give up clothes when they become jirna, कपड़े जैसे पुराने हो जाते हैं, हम छोड़ देते हैं, and we get new kapras. Like that, Krishna says the body also, eventually it decays, so the Atma gives up the body and takes a new body. The theme of the book is fascinating. It talks about a lady who has actually done that, taking of new bodies in her lifetime. It's a work of fiction, and we'll hear more about the book from Devangi ji. And I have to tell you that this book has been given the Sahitya Academy Award. So this is the book that we're going to talk about. So I don't want to say much, Devangi ji. તમે પ્લીઝ અમને થોડુંક પુસ્તક વિશે જણાવો.
Thank you, Ami. Good afternoon, everyone. I am very happy to share this afternoon with all of you. So the book we are talking about, original name is Vasansi Jirnani, and translation is The Many Lives of Pauloma Chattopadhyay. Pauloma Chattopadhyay is a middle-aged, middle-class housewife. She is happy, the way a middle-class housewife should be. She is not very rich, not very poor. She is not very beautiful, not very ugly. She has children, not very bright, not very dull. So average, consistent happiness she has. But on some days, at the age of 55, she feels that nothing exceptional ever happened to me. There were no ups and downs in my life, no grief. Now this consistent happiness is so boring. So she is craving something unusual. Now one day a strange thing happens. She goes to storeroom and there वहाँ पे बड़े-बड़े 3 अनाज के pots हैं. In older times we used to have huge grain vessels in our home. 12 महीने का अनाज store किया जाता था. So she goes into that vessel and she is suddenly transported to another era as a different individual. During Second World War, during era of Hitler, she takes identity of Aurora Miller, a German girl who believes that Hitler is right and Jews must die. See, I know that this story stands on wrong side of the history, on negative side of the history. But eventually I have realized with time that even villains have their story, right? Right and wrong. Actions are right and wrong. But grief standing behind that action is always right. They have something to say. And Jews are very smart, very evolved population, I must say. So they consistently said that this happened to us. This happened to us. They reminded us. And they should remind us. But what about German side? There has to be a side, right or wrong, but there has to be a side. So this story says that why German population was angry. What was the reason? What was the grief standing behind that? So that is first segment. Second segment, she becomes Rabia Abdi. In second vessel, she goes and she is transported to golden era of art in Egypt, in Cairo. And she becomes Rabia Abdi, wife of a royal prince, who has immense amount of luxury, but emptiness. She doesn't have a child, and she falls in love with a painter who is complete bohemian. Third story, she is transported to pre-independent India. She becomes mongi. Now suddenly there is a rumor in village that after 12 days, Grahan will come and world will end. She believes that. She's completely illiterate. There are no radios, no television. So she feels that now world will end. My life will be over. But I have one wish to fulfill. And what is that wish? She wants to sleep with a man of the village. She's a married woman. And she wants to sleep with another man. See, we are surrounded by society. We are surrounded by so many people. So most of our desires are governed by that. But what if we will know that after 10 days, this entire world will end? Then there are nothing to bind us. Then I can do whatever I want. Then who cares? Who will take judgment? So she wants that. So these three weird women are part of Paloma's life, who is leading very consistent and sober life. So Paloma and these three, 4 lives. That's why name is Many Lives of Paloma Chattopadhyay. And I wanted to say this impossible tale because I always believed, जब मैं छोटी थी और मेरी दादी कहानी सुनाती थी कि बहुत बड़े पम्पकिन में एक दरवाज़ा होता है या पिकॉक होते हैं, उनके सफ़ेद फेदर्स हैं और वो उड़ते हैं, या घोड़े हैं वो उड़ते हैं. दिस वर सच इम्प्रॉबेबल थिंग्स ना. But I have never received anything more valuable than this improbable stories in my life. So I wanted to say that tale. So that's why I wrote that story. While writing, I was not sure whether it will reach to the audiences or not. But stories have their own destiny, so it reached. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, you have to agree, she's such an amazing storyteller, right? Even the way she says it, you get lost. It's almost as if you're visualizing it. Devangi Bhatt, that is such a peculiar theme, and you've actually set your heroines in different time spans of history. I'm sure you had to do a lot of research for that, right? And get that perspective. So when you said that there is a German side to it, yeah? How did you do that research? Because there is a lot of element of creativity, but you need some basis on history as well. So how did you bring these two things together?
Originally, when I thought of 3 women, first one was a Jew woman named Delia Brick. So in my mind, I thought that I will write about Delia Brick. Now, during that time period, what happened? That we went to Europe. And I said that I want to see concentration camp of Dachau. So I went there. Now, there was a guide with us. So we were just sitting in between. All others went for liquor. And they said, let's go for drinks. Now, I didn't want to say that I don't drink because it sounds unfashionable, right? So I said, no, I will sit here because I only drink after 7 o'clock. That was very weird statement. So after making that silly statement, I was just sitting outside with that guide. And I asked him that this must be very burdensome, very heavy for you to visit this place every day, because there are guest chambers, there are barracks, there are photographs, nude photographs. And he said a very strange thing to me. He said, ma'am, every country has this kind of history. Every country has skeletals. Only we have decided to show it. And I believed that. I took it very seriously. See, America does not have a memoriam of the people who died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. India and Pakistan does not have memorial for the people who died during partition. But Germany has memorial. They are saying, we are sorry. We are sorry. And it's not easy to say we are sorry, because they must have their justification. So I decided that no, let people criticize me, but I will write story of a German girl who says that no, I want them to die. I believe that Hitler is my hero, because different perspective will make literature. If you don't have different perspective, there is no literature. So I will tell a story. You like it, you take it. You don't like it, you criticize me, but I will say it.
Fantastic. Actually, you make a very interesting point, right? Because, yes, Hitler was an elected representative, and there were people supporting them. Whether they were right or not is a different matter altogether. But they were supporting them, and whatever could have been their reasons, do you want to talk about it, or would you want the people to read it?
I wish people read it, but I'll just say 2 facts. Number 1, that in 2010, there was a survey conducted by BBC And many historians, I'm not saying laymen, many historians were asked who was responsible for World War. And 70% said Hitler. 70% said Hitler. Now let me tell you that a boy named Gavrilo Princip, 19-year-old boy Gavrilo Princip, killed Crown Prince of Austria in a parade. And that's how World War started. He was a Serbian nationalist, a 19-year-old boy. And this action resulted in death of 80 million people in 2 world war. So see, history is not what actually happened. History is what people reported to have happened. They said and you believed. Not necessary it is true, not necessary. So I will not take that history. I want to read and interpret in my own way. You might disagree with me. And that's why I always say that talk for your heroes. Speak up for your heroes and speak up for your civilization. Otherwise, history will not record it. History will not record it and your side will remain unspoken.
That's fascinating, Devangi ji. I want to touch upon some other title of yours, which I find very fascinating. So, as we discuss the book that we're talking about, The Many Lives of Pauloma Chattopadhyay, the original name, the Gujarati name is Vasansi Jeernani. She has other books which have the name as Tvameva Bharta or Dharmo Rakshati. So I was very fascinated. How is it that you have so many names coming from Sanskrit for Gujarati works? What is it? How did you think about naming those that way?
I never actually designed that I will give this name, but they were apt for the subject. And my publisher was very angry, I must tell you. Like Ronak Bhai, my publisher, he was like, what is this nonsense? You are giving name Vasansi Jeernani, people will think that this is a religious book and nobody will purchase this. You are not thinking about me. I was like, do you want to print it? He was like, huh. So I said, then okay, accept it. So, but it was apt, that's why I kept it. For example, Tvameva Bharta, that is taken from Raghuvansham. In Raghuvansham, Mata Sita tells Lord Ram, Tvameva Bharta Nachave Prayoga. In every birth, I want you as my husband. My protagonist, Leela, she says, what if I don't want this husband again? See, truth changes time to time. Truth changes case to case. We cannot generalize it. This woman is standing in a situation where she is saying that I don't want this husband in any life. She says that anything but not you. So ironically, name is given Tvameva Bharta. And I felt that that was the correct name. Then there is a novel named Dharmo Rakshati. Dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshita. A very controversial work. I am hated for that. And that's okay. I love that. It's a story of mother and son. Son Aditya Bharadwaj, who is an American citizen and who is fighting for rights of Afghani citizens. He believes that Afghani citizens have humanitarian rights. He is very humanitarian, global being, secular being. And then mother, who is an Indian writer. She believes in Hindutva. She believes in Lord Rama. She believes that I have to protect everything that belongs to me. I don't believe in secularism. I believe that what is mine, I am proud of it. So there's two beings. And there is consistent struggle between them. There is consistent fight between them. This is fight of idealism versus reality. Idealism versus wisdom. And let me tell you today, aapko koi bhi kuch bhi keh le, wisdom always wins. Intellect is a good thing. Intellectual hona chahiye. But Dharmo Rakshati says, जो ज़्यादा देखते हैं वो कम समझते हैं. People who are very literate, who are very intellectual, intelligent, at times they cannot see ground reality. So people who belong to old generation, people who are talking wisdom, people who are talking after experience of their journey, they always know better. So that's what this novel says, and it's written without any filters. And that's why it is criticized. But I think these titles were apt for the novel. That's why these were given.
I love them. I love the titles. What you just said, right? It reminds me of a Gujarati saying, આપણે કહીએ ને કે ભણવા કરતાં ગણવું વધારે મહત્વપૂર્ણ છે. So that's exactly what's coming out of your books. There's another book that I want to talk about because she has so many books. and we were just discussing about it. The name of the book is Ek Hati Gunja. Ek Thi Gunja, that was the name. And again, it has such a fascinating time travel, as we saw in the first book, the Paulomi Chatterjee's Many Lives. In this book as well, Gunja is a girl who gets multiple chances to live. But every time, her life, she ends it in a suicide. Why is that? Why is Gunja doing that? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that story as well?
In dedication of Ek Hati Gunja, I have written that for possibilities, for infinite possibilities, because that is the only thing that we have in this life. If we don't have possibilities, we don't have anything. So in this novel, writer decides that there is a girl named, am I audible? Yeah. So writer decides that there is a girl named Gunja. She is leading her life in a particular path. And suddenly, at the age of 15, she commits suicide for a particular reason. Now, protagonist is dead. But writer says, no, I want to give her another chance. I want to give her another opportunity to lead life on different path. So once again, life starts on different road. Once again, at the age of 30, 35, she commits suicide. Writer says, no, I'm not going to accept this. Let me give her another road. Let her walk on another path. She walks on that, and again at the age of 40, she commits suicide. Now in the end, that girl and writer, they are standing in a room. And there is a canvas, and somebody is making a drawing on canvas. So they ask that, are you God? He says, how can I be God? I am not God. This canvas is God. So they are like, why, what? This canvas is God? So he's like, this canvas is God. You can make whatever you want to make. If you make a flower, flower will become God. If you make elephant, elephant will become God. Here you have privilege to create your own God. So she decides that, okay, I'll make a flower. So she makes a flower because she's bad at painting, bad at drawing. Then they ask that flower that why every time, on whatever path I was walking, I committed suicide. What was wrong with that, all the paths? And that flower, that God says that it is not path, it is you. On whatever road you are going to walk, ultimately you will reach to the same destination because you needed strength. I never assured you that your life will be absolutely all right. There will be ups and downs, there will be obstacles. You need to learn to deal with that. How can you say that everything should be all right? How can you rely on me completely? So, एक हती गुंजा, जब भी कहानी कही जाती है तो हम कहते हैं एक रानी थी, एक राजा था. This story begins every time with a sentence, एक थी गुंजा, एक थी गुंजा.
I'm just so fascinated. How do you even think of this, right? Especially when you have to go back in time, create so many different lives. It requires a lot of research. But what I also realized from the different topics that you've covered, there is a sense of adhyatma on which all these topics are based. Although they are fiction, they have a very solid grounding in, I think, Indian ethos. Is there a spiritual practice that you follow? Is there something that has anchored you?
I am not a very religious person. I do not follow any rituals. But while coming here, in my mind, I was saying Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha, because I am attending literature festival for the first time. See, there are certain things which you do not consciously do, but it always surrounds you. In my recent novel, Prathama Pusha, there is a statement said by a protagonist that sustaining element of entire human civilization is belief in God or poetic justice. So there is another woman, she's saying, what nonsense, I don't believe in God. What are you saying? He said, you think that you don't believe in God, but you do. She's like, how? How I believe in God? So he said that, tell me, what is the logo of Supreme Court of India? Satyameva Jayate. What is the logo of America? In God we trust. Whether we are listening fairy tales of Cinderella or Snow White, what happens? In the end, righteous wins. If you are listening to story of Ramayana or Mahabharata, what it teaches? That right will always prevail. Who is doing that? Some unexplained hand? some invisible hand. So you believe in God, whether you believe or you don't believe consciously, but you do. That phenomena always surrounds you. And question ये नहीं है कि आप ईश्वर में बिलीव करते हैं या नहीं. सवाल ये है कि अगर ईश्वर का कंसेप्ट ना होता तो लाइफ शायद इतनी ब्यूटीफुल नहीं होती. That's the issue. We have to keep God alive to keep our life proper. जो बच्चा 10th स्टैंडर्ड में 5 बार फेल हो जाता है, उसकी मम्मी भी सोचती है कि नहीं नहीं, नेक्स्ट टाइम तो पास हो जाएगा. This hope, this faith you need, right? We all are studying, not me, you all are studying with hope that you all are going to get employment opportunity. Not necessary with the population of India, right? But we have that hope. If we do not have any hope, if we are not optimistic, this world will not be as beautiful as it is. So I prefer to believe in God because I need that hope. That's the thing.
Fantastic. I want to use this opportunity to make a point. A lot of what I do, I write in English, but I'm very well learned in many other languages. And I thank that to my mother. I went to an English medium school. I studied English and Hindi and Marathi in school. But my mom insisted, I grew up in Mumbai, that I have to learn Gujarati. And the way she ensured that is that when we were growing up, I had books of Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, English, all 4. And she said, only English nahi chalega. You have to read all this. And you know why? You just heard her. When you read different languages, there's a different worldview that emerges. And you don't become very single-minded. That is so important, right? This was so fascinating. I'm sure a lot of you may not be aware of Gujarati literature. But she is a shining example of there's so much profound depth even in Gujarati literature. So please ensure you teach your Matrubhasha to your children. Now I'll open this up for questions. I think we have 5-6 minutes. If you have any questions for the author, yes, sir.
Ask something about your surname. What surname is prevalent in Karnataka as well as Gujarat? So what is the connections between these two states through your surname?
Okay, I didn't know about this surname is prevalent in Karnataka. In Gujarat, we are Nagar Brahmins. And I'm really not aware that what is the connection between these two states and this.
Actually, sir, the Bhatt surname you also find in Maharashtra. You also find in Kashmir. So it's basically Bhatt, jo hote the, jo Bhatt ji ka kaam karte the, the Purohits. I think that's how it comes. That's how it's the similar surname. Correct. Trivedis, Chaturvedis, all of that. Upadhyay, right? We have Upadhyayas everywhere. Anybody else? Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
હું તમે ગુજરાતીમાં ક્વેશ્ચન
હા બોલો બોલો ગુજરાતીમાં બોલું છું એમ
સો તમારા 3 પ્રોટોગોનિસ્ટ છે અદુ
ઉપર ઉપાડો
તમારો 3 પ્રોટોગોનિસ્ટ છે તમારી સ્ટોરીમાં અદુ 3 પ્રોટોગોનિસ્ટ માં એન કનેક્શન છે
કઈ રીતે કનેક્શન
હા
છે
ಯಾವ રીતે કનેક્શન
Okay. I just wanted to take 3 eras which are important in history. That was the only thing in my mind. So I took Second World War, Golden Era of Egypt, and third one I took pre-independent India. But there was no connection between these eras, but just it was important in history. That's the connection.
Anybody else? Naito, I have a question. When you write these kinds of stories, right, which have time travel, lots of different kinds of themes, do you put a structure that, okay, now this is what I want to focus on, or it just comes and it flows and it happens? How does that happen?
See, there is a quote by someone that writers are of 2 types. One, they are like architects. And second, they are like gardeners. Architects, they design everything. They have pre-plan in their mind that this is how I will go. Gardeners, they just let story flow. So I'm second type because I have never taken any formal education in language. My subject was economics. I taught economics for years. I started writing because I wanted to feel good. In a rough patch of my life, I wanted to feel good. I started writing and it got published and people started loving it. So everything just happened. But today, as I have 2 minutes remaining, I want to say something. I write in Gujarati language from almost 20 to 25 years. For initial 10 years, I wrote for theatre. And then I started writing novels. Last to last year, as Vasansi got Sahitya Academy Award, it got translated in English. And because of that book, I am sitting here. I want you to do one thing, that please do not judge richness of a literature on the basis of excellence of English speaking. No, it is not. No. Please read your regional literature. I understand that English is binding factor. It is a global language and we must learn it. I do agree, because even English language and English literature is so rich. But इतना तो पेड़ को भी पता है कि अपने रूट्स में गए बिना आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते. तो हम तो इंसान हैं.
Fantastic. We have 1 minute.
In this context, I'd like to say one thing. There are gadgets which are able to,
Yes.
compress gadgets like desktop, laptops, which are able to capture human handwriting. But they are not being promoted to maintain the preeminence of the English language over all other languages on this planet Earth.
Yes.
આઈડ જસ્ટ લાઈક ટુ સે કે તમે જે ગુજરાતી વાંચવા વિશે કહો છો તો એટલું કહેતા જાઓ કે જેમ તમને યાદ આવે કે શું વાંચવું, કોને વાંચવા અથવા કોને વાંચ્યા વગર નહીં ચાલે એવું હોય એ કહી શકો.
We have very rich literature. We have Kanayalal Munshi, we have Jhaverchand Meghani, we have Kundanika Ben Kapadia, we have Chandrakant Bakshi, Ramesh Parekh, but Harindra Dave. But unfortunately, our literature is not widely translated. Translation is not available. There are many reasons. One, lack of good translators. Second, it is an expensive process. And third, how to reach a good publication house, English publication house. It's a difficult task. As I said, that Vasansi won Sahitya Academy Award. It was part of the syllabus in many universities. I didn't know how to approach an English publication house because I'm a very old-fashioned writer. I know how to write. The remaining things, technicalities, I do not know how to do that. For that, you need some mediators. You need some professional training in that. And that I didn't have. But I guess, ultimately, if you have correct intention and if you say stories honestly, it reaches. It reaches. It might take time. It will reach. And I'm very thankful to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. I was very nervous because I was coming for the first time and I was afraid that if I do not say things correctly, if I mess up, because many times I mess up. So if I mess up, what will happen? But you gave me courage. Thank you, and thank you, Ami Ben.
મજા આવીને બધાને તાળીઓના ગડગડાટથી વધાવી લ્યો એમને. Thank you so much. ખૂબ ખૂબ આભાર.